So I have two amazing things today. First, my favorite holiday strawberry flavored Japanese alcohol, and this list of books that I really didn't like this year. And these are not books that I think are necessarily terrible. These are the books that I am personally offended by. By that I mean I had some expectations going in, and I was totally there for them to be amazing. They had my full support across the board, and then they just let the team down. They let me down so much. So yeah, these are books that I am personally hurt by. Let's just get right on into it. So the first one is The Heart Goes Last by Margaret Atwood. So this book wasn't terrible, had some interesting ideas. This is Margaret freaking Atwood. She can write Oryx and Crake. She can write The Handmaid's Tale. She has the writing chops to be amazing. This book was a sloppy hot mess where there are not enough houses for people, crime is rampant, resources are low, so people start living half of their life in a prison and the other half they spend as prison guards and they live on the outside world. So the premise is great. Execution, sloppy. Atwood, why? I love you, Atwood, but this was sloppy and very weird. Some of the parts are very weird, like a person who is sexually in love with blue teddy bears, a specific teddy bear. That's just, I think that we don't need this in our life, and I do not recommend. Nope. Next book that I was hurt by, The Power by Naomi Alderman. Oh, and also, I feel like the title of this video should be Come Fight Me, because I'm sure that many people disagree with me. So if you want to fight me and be mean in the comments, go ahead. But I mean, people like different things. You can love this book. I think it is not good. So this is The Power by Naomi Alderman. In this one, I had such high hopes because this is a world rewritten where suddenly females have the power to electrically shock people, which totally changes the power dynamics between men and women because suddenly women are the physically stronger. However, the way that this was written was a hot mess, and the way that the plot went was just meandering, and I feel like a lot of the tension dropped out, and it was through too many viewpoints and like forward and back in time, and I wanted to love this, and also it's blurbed by Atwood again, so yeah, it's not like I hated this book, I just feel personally sad that I didn't love this book because I wanted to. The premise, I was so excited for it, and it was just a total letdown. Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be a bit of a bummer ranty video, but that's okay. Yeah, let me know, did you guys feel that way about The Power? Because I know it was like on a lot of people's to-read list for the year, and then for some reason people stopped talking about it, so I just like assumed that everyone else kind of came to the same conclusion as me. Like, it's not mind-blowing, it's kind of just like, meh. Yeah. Okay, next is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Okay, let me just back it up a bit. I liked this book. I liked this book a lot. I feel like I could have loved this book and been a slave to this book if it had been done in a different way. So some of the parts were cliche, and some of the parts were easily predictable, and it's not like I'm against that. I am totally here for it. But when you tell me Cyborg Cinderella, I expect like a little more. Like, I would have liked a little more because I just feel like the potential wasn't met. So have you guys read this? And if you have, I've heard that the second one is really good, so I should read the second one. I shouldn't just give up after the first one. I didn't hate this, I just thought that Cyborg Cinderella could have been so much more. Yeah. So yeah, let me know. Oh, okay, and then there's this one. If any of you guys know, I read Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda earlier this year. Becky, Albertalli. Amazing. It was so good. It was like the sweetest book I've ever read in my whole life. Like, it's just like a little sugar book and it's amazing. And then I read The Upside of Unrequited and not so amazing. I believe that if this book had not been following after Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, and if it hadn't have been really hyped, this is actually just kind of a like meh teenage love story. Like, there's nothing that special about it, and in fact, I found the main character really annoying. Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda was so great, and I feel like the fact that this one was hyped after it, maybe the hype got to me and I had too high of expectations, but regardless, I feel like this had nothing special going for it, and I know I'm gonna get massacred in the comments about this one because people just seem to love it, but I'm just one of the people, I thought it was fine, but I like regret buying it. It should have been a Kindle read. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. Next is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. So this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast with like demons and a changing house and curses. And I really loved the premise, and I definitely didn't hate this book at all. It was another case of like Cinder, where I felt like I just wanted a little more. Like, something was missing for me to like totally love it. I feel sad because in the beginning it was going so great, and then around like the middle to the end it just lost steam and kind of like fell off the track, and I was like, oh, another hot mess that can't finish like how I want it to finish. Yeah. So I know that a lot of people love this one, but I just really think that I was just expecting more. Yeah, I was just expecting more. I just wanted more. Alright, and then next is The Vegetarian by Hong Kong. So this one I had my own personal expectations for because I've lived in Korea, and experiencing the way that men interact with women in Korea and also being a vegetarian, I felt like I had like a lot of insight from having experienced that kind of situation before. And the first chapter really got to me. I really liked the first chapter. Second chapter was like, I don't know where we're going, but the first chapter was good, so I will follow you. And then the last chapter completely ruined it for me, and I was like, why? Why is this happening? So, yeah, this was definitely a case of like, the hype got to me combined with my own personal experiences. I thought it would be one thing, and then it turned out to be another. And I'm not saying it's not good, I'm just saying like, I was expecting something completely different. So I may or may not read more of Hong Kong. Maybe she's just not my thing. Yeah, I don't really know, except to say that definitely like did not love when I really wanted to love it, but no, love withheld. So in this top 4 we're getting into ones that are very popular, which I don't hate, except one of them. One of them I really hate, but we will get to that one. The next one on this list is Ash by Malinda Lo. And this is a Cinderella retelling. There was an FF romance, which is why I read it in February for FF February. However, I felt that the romance was way underdeveloped. Like, there were very few scenes where those two characters were even together, and then the development between them was very sparse. So then at the end, when like the end happened, I was like, how did we get here? What are we doing here? How did we arrive at this place? So yeah, I was just like bamboozled, confuzzled, confused. Yeah, I wanted it to be. I'm there. No matter who she chooses, it would have been great. But just confused. That one was just confused. Which is how I feel about the next one. So the next book that I have on this list is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. This is another book I read for FF February, and I was so there for it. Basically, a princess falls in love with a princess. One has magic powers. One is a war horse trainer, war horse rider, war horse breeder, and I really, really wanted this ship to sail. I wanted it to sail so hard. Except when the writing started, and then I realized that, no, I didn't like them together at all. And also, the development of the plot was really scattered, and I couldn't really connect with it. And then, like, the last 20 pages, all the action happened, and then ended on a, like, cliffhanger? What? So, I just thought overall it was a really, like, scattered. It felt really rushed, and I also didn't actually like the main couple together, even though I wanted to build them a ship and watch them sail away on it, and then that did not happen. So I was personally hurt by that one. That's how I feel about the next one, which was possibly one of the most hyped books of the year. I bought the hardback in the airport as soon as I reached America in August, and it is A Gentleman's Guide to Bison Virtue. So I so wanted to read this book. I devoured it, and it's not that I hated the book, it's that I had some problems. So basically this book follows a young gentleman of leisure as he is given his last chance to prove himself by his father. So basically he goes on a grand tour with his best friend and his sister, who he is supposed to be dropping at finishing school, but not everything goes as planned, and there are like hijinks and adventures. I thought it would be more serious or more, it was very light. It felt kind of like reading a historical Scooby-Doo romp where the main characters may or may not get together, and I did like them together, but I thought that their chemistry could have been a little more, and I also didn't like the way it ended. Like, what is that? What? So I just, like, I couldn't believe that that was the way that it ended. Like, the last 20 pages or so, I felt really were so disconnected and, like, just like a jumble. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I felt like the stakes were one removed from us, and I felt like there was always like a lightheartedness even when it was a very serious thing that was happening. So the whole thing felt, like I said, like a light Scooby-Doo romp, and I couldn't really be really invested in it. So then when it was the final pages and I was hoping for some final like deep emotion where just like that, there wasn't any, and it was more just like, watch the sunset. Finished. Yeah, so man, that one, it was fine. It was not bad. It wasn't amazing. It was like fine. And I know that a lot of people super loved it and it's their favorite book of the year. And to that I would just say that I can see why people would really like it. A lot of the elements are really up my alley. I just think that just because it is a young adult queer travel journey type story doesn't mean I'm going to excuse it for all the faults that it has. Yeah, so I'm hoping that there is another story that comes out similar to it, or that the follow-up is better in some way. I don't know, I'm hopeful because I loved the idea of it. Okay, and we are up to the book that I was actually extremely mad about reading this year. I was actually mad about this book. I made my fiance read this book so that we could talk about it, and it is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz. So, in this one, we follow a boy named Oscar who is struggling between being American and having Puerto Rican heritage, and what that means for where he belongs. And this was billed as a Tolkien lover, a writer, a geeky boy who's trying to fit into American society, but actually what it was like a lot of Oscar complaining and a lot of stuff just happening to Oscar, and a lot of it in Spanish, and a lot of like Tolkien references, which I think are just too many maybe. So this was not my cup of tea, and I'm not gonna say that going in it would have ticked all my boxes, but when it wins the Pulitzer Prize, I have a certain idea of like the caliber that I think it will be, and then it just wasn't for me at all. Like, I'm clearly not the target audience at all, and so I really wanted to see if it was just me or what. So my fiance also felt that it was like not good and just kind of like blah. So I am personally hurt by this one. I really wanted to like it, and I just really actually hated it. I just hated reading this book, to be frank. Yeah, so sorry. Okay, so I know that I basically just went through like so many books and said that I didn't like them for this or that other reason, but most of them I did like well enough. I just wish that they could have been so much more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel personally attacked by how these books didn't reach up to my expectations. And you can find me in the comments down below. Love a good chat. Yeah. But anyway, if you like this video or you found it entertaining, then please give me a thumbs up or hit the like button. That's the same thing. Hit the subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. And I hope you guys are having a great end of the year. I know I am. And I will chat to you guys later. Toodles!